Please welcome now to the Imus Morning Program, IFA, part of the Cavuto crime family, Carl Two Questions Jeffers. Good morning, Mr. Jeffers.
Good morning, Don. And if that's true, then I want to salute Neil for his affirmative action program, because this is the first for a crime family to include me. So I'll do the best I can. You know. Well, remember that line in The Godfather when Sonny was talking about what was wrong with Joe Montana's character, and he was saying that they're hiring all kinds of minorities, Hispanics and blacks up there in Harlem, running the numbers with driving Cadillacs, and clearly they had a certain set of standards that obviously have deteriorated.
You're African American?
That could be very, very true, and I'm delighted to be able to announce it for the first time if you're asking me that question.
So, well, did Cavuto steal you from us? Is that how that happened?
Oh, no. Neil and I, I will say this. Neil first was introduced to me in the green room in New York when we were both waiting for me to appear on your show. And that was the first time he ever saw me. So, yes, in essence, he originally discovered me from appearing on your show, and then he and I now do a regular weekly appearance, which I enjoy a great deal. But no one could steal me away from the Imus show, and I mean that sincerely, Don. And I know I want to talk about the Supreme Court and the Arizona immigration bill, but just two quick points to start off. One is I want to salute you and Deidre for the work that you've done with the Radiothon that you've been running and run for the last week and a half or so, because it's not just all of the work that went into it, which people definitely could see in the end results, but it's the way that you've provided so much meaningful help to people. And we oftentimes applaud work that's done, good deeds that are done, without applauding enough the people that do those good deeds. So I just wanted to take one quick second to salute you and Deidre for your efforts there. And the second quick point, my pleasure, and very genuinely felt, too. The second point is, which is one of the reasons why no one could really, as you say, steal me away from you, because you and I have this very special kind of environment that we've created where we can talk about issues of race when it's not a crisis or some new incidents come up, but just to kind of foster understanding. And I so look forward to that opportunity. And I just wanted to make one point. A few weeks ago on another show, I acknowledged the passing of Robert Culp, the actor who in the 60s partnered with Bill Cosby on I Spy. And I was referring to the fact that that show was pioneering because it set a new standard and tone with African Americans being able to travel around the world, as Bill Cosby and Culp did, and checking into fine hotels and being respected with dignity. And that set the tone for the 70s with leading roles like Greg Marsh in Mission Impossible and others, Lieutenant Uhuru and Star Trek. And so I was very happy to acknowledge that Robert Culp played a major role in that he insisted that the two of them be treated as equal partners on that team. Well, in the same way that I did that, let me just quickly acknowledge the passing of Lena Horne, who at the age of 92, you probably have to go back about 2 generations to find people who really grew up with her. But I just want to point out, others are acknowledging her beauty, her talent, an incredible stardom. But I just want to point out, in the 30s and 40s, Lena Horne was light enough to actually pass for white. And that may sound anachronistic to young people today. What are you talking about, passing for white? But as you know, Don, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, that was a very real issue and concept in America. And Lena Horne, with her level of success, could have easily faded under the radar screen and lived a life of isolation because of that. In fact, the movie studios encouraged her to do that. They used to refer to her as Light Egyptian. And in fact, I just want to acknowledge that even with all of that with her, in terms of her ability and potential to just escape, Lena Horne spent every day of her life on the front lines, fighting for civil rights, equal rights, for justice and equality, and protesting all issues of discrimination. And we should honor her for that, for sure.
And she certainly could have, as you pointed out, taken an easy way out. So, and many did.
She absolutely could.
Yeah,
that's right.
17 to Leon, talking with Carl Jeffers. LENA, kAGEN, give me your thoughts.
Well, you know, first of all, let's dispense quickly with the politics. LENA kAGEN is going to be confirmed.
Yeah.
And she's going to be confirmed for two reasons. One, she is eminently qualified. I mean, she was dean of the Harvard Law School, the first female solicitor general in the United States, and on the Harvard Law School, first female dean. But the liberals, unlike, remember when Harriet Miers was submitted to the Senate by President Bush, it was conservatives and Republicans who abandoned her because she had no track record. They didn't think she was conservative enough, and they couldn't trust her, is how they felt.
Yeah.
Liberals and progressives are not going to abandon LENA kAGEN. Remember, she came to prominence under the Clinton administration, and it was Barack Obama who appointed her as Solicitor General. She's no John Mitchell. She is a liberal, and she will be consistent. And the other reason is that she will not change the ideology of the court. She's replacing perhaps the most liberal member of the court. And that's why Republicans will not oppose her, because they know that it doesn't change the current makeup. And Republicans and conservatives will save their ammunition to wait for the next appointment, which most likely would be a conservative leaving the court and being replaced by an appointment from President Obama, particularly if he's reelected in 2012. And that will be when you will see the nuclear option in terms of filibuster and other things. They'll grill LENA with many questions, but she will be confirmed. But you know, Don, now that we dealt with the politics, what's even more fascinating to me is how America has evolved over these last 200 years. And I've heard people refer to the ethnicity aspect of the Supreme Court and try to downplay it, but I think that's out of embarrassment. No one wants to really get involved in being on the wrong side of talking about it. But I'm going to tell you, Alan Dershowitz a few weeks ago said America was founded as a Protestant country. Well, I could actually make that a little more correct. It wasn't founded as a Protestant country because, in fact, it was founded as a secular nation where religion was not going to be the state religion. But it was founded by Protestants, and it was, in fact, Protestants who, and under the Anglo-Saxon domain, in fact, developed America and represented the elite of America. Let's fast forward to the Eisenhower years. Under President Eisenhower, there was one time during his administration, he had 11 members of his cabinet. One was Catholic. Of the other 10, not only were they all Protestant, 9 of them were Episcopalian, which has always represented the highest, most elite format within the ruling Anglo-Saxon class in America. And it was interesting, you had Stuart Anderson earlier on, and you mentioned that he's Episcopalian. Ron Meacham is Episcopalian. Very consistent. That is the elite group throughout history in America. That shows you where we were in the 50s. 9 out of 10 were not only Protestant, but were Episcopalian. Now we get to today, and we've come this far, and in fact, the Reverend Gardner Taylor in Brooklyn, out of Brooklyn, an eminent theologian, used to tell the story of how a religion evolved in America. And he said it was like this. If you were a Baptist, it meant you had learned to wash. If you were a Methodist, it meant you had learned to read. If you were Presbyterian, it meant you had been to college. And if you were Episcopalian, it meant your investments had turned out well. And that's essentially how we've evolved. So we've come from that to a point where today we now have an African-American as president of the United States. We have a female Italian-American Catholic as Speaker of the House. And on the Supreme Court, with this appointment, we will have, of the 9 members, 6 Catholics and 3 who are Jewish. And I will tell you this, since you asked me if I'm African-American, I'm African-American, and we have an African-American on the court, and I would gladly trade that seat to get him off and add another Jewish nominee anytime and any day of the week.
Don't be a hater now.
Satisfy what we need.
Don't be a hater.
That's not hating, but...
I hate this black-on-black crime.
Thomas makes me do that.
I hate black-on-black crime.
By the way, Thomas ought to think about that.
By the way, Carl, it's John Meacham and Stuart Taylor.
John Meacham.
Yeah.
That's right, Stuart Taylor.
Couldn't we just let that go?
No, of course not. You know, you're always terrific. I always learn something. It's always fun, and it was only one question this morning. All right, baby, thank you.
Good to be with you, Don. You take care now.
Carl Jeffers, part of the kAGEN crime family here on the Imus Morning program. It's 12 till the hour.